good. It's another episode of Modern Black Man Podcast. I got the homie with me, feeling good, feeling great. I'm thankful to be on the Modern Black Man Podcast because this is where it's at. Doug, what's up,
Happy,
man?
nice. Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year, man. I'm grateful. I'm so thankful, and I'm grateful for you too, bro. I'm happy that you living, man. You're getting everything that you need to have together, and I'm blessed for this day. All that being said, I wanted to get with you and just talk about some of the events of the day. You know, right now we're in a unique time. I think that whether it's sports, entertainment, or just our culture, we have a lot of new things going on. And
Yeah.
as men, I think that being prepared, it's different now. I think 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was a much different responsibility. With all of those things, what's your priority for 2024? What is most important for you, your family, in leading your home?
Well, I think the easy answer for me always is to develop a different relationship with Christ, not just a better one. I think it's an easy thing to say. It's just a better relationship with Christ. But I want a different relationship with Him. I want to know Him better than I ever known Him. I want to be different for Him. Um, Other than that, I want my children to see me do such a thing. I want my wife to see me do such a thing. I want them to follow a different type of man this year.
Man,
Um,
let's
yeah,
talk about that growth, right? And I think you can definitely vibe with this because you do the same thing. Providing for your family on your own back with your own enterprise is different. It's a different responsibility, a different burden, and a different reward. I'm not going to sleep on that either. It feels good to provide for your family as an entrepreneur. For me, 24 is my year to show up and show out. I don't think I've had a better start independently. And I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful because it's about the people that you know. It's about having the people that you love support you, and it's life changing. I can't, I'll never stop saying that. I learned that firsthand, and I'm grateful for that, humble and just undeserving.
yeah. I
That's
mean,
my
I think
24.
that's a constant for each and every person on this earth is how undeserving we really are of things that we got in this life, or the I should say the head start.
Mm,
That
yeah.
I'll speak for myself personally. I think of today not just as an opportunity, but more of a it's a realization that I really don't have everything in control. I don't have control of anything under the sun
Don't say
as
that
I
because you
might have
don't.
thought I did. Yeah, I mean, I might have thought that I had control of my finances, or I might have thought I had control of, my household, or the different spaces that I run in. But quite honestly, and anything can go array while you sleep, man. Anything,
In a moment's
and
notice, it
yeah,
can all change. Your whole world, it will become rearranged. And learning firsthand how to prepare for that, how to defend against that, protect your family, protect your assets, protect yourself. Those are the elements that I'm talking about today. And it's not the same. I mean, you can have all those things thought out and prepared for, but kind of like what I think we're both hinting at, we're not in control, and it's a reflection of your faith that calms the storm inside of you that you might call motivation, the wildness that goes on inside of you that you think is preparation. All those things that you have going on internally have no comparison to a plan that lasts eternally.
Yeah, especially I mean, people always say, "What's the euphemism? You want to make God laugh? Tell him your plan." You
Exactly.
know,
You want to make God
I
laugh, make plans. You don't have to
yeah, I
tell him.
mean, yeah. Either way, either way, it's kind of. I would say it's hilarious to the one that knows all, uh, but you know, I I mean, if I had any choice in the matter, I honestly just want to do His will, man. And I find myself outside of His will enough to know. That's one thing I do love about being saved, man. It's one thing that people that aren't saved, they might not understand this when I say it. Um, but when I'm outside of the will of God, man, it it hurts me. It gets on my nerves. Like I feel like out of place. I feel out of touch with reality.
Mhm.
I feel like I can tell I'm doing something wrong. I know I'm doing something wrong. Yet I continue down the road that I'm traveling just because that's what I want to be doing right now. Um, and I say that to say, you ever met, I know you've met atheists in your life, man. I, I know a guy. I can't think of his name. I think his last name is Turek. I can't think of his first name. But he wrote a book entitled "I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist," which the title screams to me just because I mean, like when I really think about it, like I know for a fact that I didn't wake myself up today. I woke up. You know what I mean? I did wake up, but I didn't make myself wake up, nor did I make myself fall asleep. I tried to fall asleep, and
Ooh.
or I was
Ooh.
I laid down to go to bed, and finally I fell into the realm that was complete, slumber, so to speak.
I bet you did get some REM, but I want to talk about slumber. I think that's really interesting, and I think it's a little controversial. You think that sleep came to you outside of yourself? I love that because you give credit to bed and awake, but that's interesting. Um,
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, what is
hmm,
rest, right? I mean, what is rest? Rest from what? I mean, if life is so good, if you living your best life, why you need to go to sleep? Yeah,
okay.
you know what I mean? Like, why
So
you need to
so
go to?
sometimes I feel that sleep is when we're connected to him. I joke and I call, we talk about REM sleep, but your brain literally is at its highest activation levels. Autophagy goes on, the cleaning of your brain, all those chemicals that aren't available when you're awake occur at night. We don't get enough rest. So I think that this is fun. I think that that's where God is in our daily because He is eternal. Um, the universe, space, that's not even scratching the surface.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, so let me give you a concept.
Hmm.
So, okay, let's say I go through the entire day doing exactly what I believe as a Christian. That's how I'm supposed to be walking, right? I'm engulfing myself in as much Christian activity as possible, whether that be while I'm driving in my car, I'm listening to a sermon or listening to gospel or just listening to
Hmm.
Christian content, um, to being in my office doing the same thing while I work, to on Wednesdays, you go to Bible study or you study your word or whatever. And then at night you go to bed, right? You fall asleep, and then all of a sudden you start dreaming about, let's just say, like
The
having
Bible study I
sex
missed
with
this
hold on,
morning.
hold on, because I want you to tell me what you think in reference to what you just said about sleep or about rest, if it still sounds the same. Now, if
Yeah.
everything I did while I was woke, and then I fall asleep, and then I have a dream about having sex with this chick, knowing my wife is in the next room, right? And
Yeah.
like are doing all the things I would love to be doing right now in my flesh, I'm doing in my dreams.
Yes.
So I guess my basic question to you is, Is that really when I'm closest to God?
Oh wow. Well, think. Let's definitely talk about that. This is where it gets interesting. Think about the time. You can't remember all your dream. It's incredibly spatial. So that literally could be 1 or 2 seconds, 1 or 2 frames. And sure, it's it's the furthest distance from God. It's equally distant as all sin. But if you read your word, and I'm not quoting scripture like I should, but he throws your sin as far from the east is from the west. So, yes, I think all those things are true. I think that it could still be when you're closest to God. And like I said, sin is always in you. How dare you feel that it's not a part of who you are as you are composed of flesh?
Well, I never said
Incredibly.
that. I never said that. I don't believe that in the slightest.
Okay.
Honestly, I would believe
Okay.
that would be against scripture to say that. I
Yeah.
do believe that even as a saved human being, I still
But
have a
address my
sin.
points. It could have been just 1 or 2 seconds, 1 or 2 frames, and you could have been incredibly blissful and praiseful, et cetera, as well. Just
Yeah,
throwing
but I
that
mean,
out there.
but yeah, the fact of the matter is my flesh is antithetical to the will of God.
Mm-hmm. Is
So, and my
yes.
brain is
Big-
part of my flesh. My brain is part of my flesh. My brain is not a spiritual portion
Ooh.
of me. It is the physical part of me. Because if there's no brain activity, that person is dead. Okay,
Electrolytes
so
are brain activity, right? It's lightning going on inside of us, electricity inside of us. The spirit is inside of us. All we can possess is a spark, and when we go home, we're composed of something much greater. Yeah,
no,
just what I be thinking. This is just what I be thinking, man. Um,
no,
but
I don't know.
you know,
I don't know if I would say that. I would say that
mm, your
that
brain is not a part of your spirit. It's not a part of your body. And when you're done with this earthly body, this vessel, what you possess is in that spirit. How else would this spirit be able to ascend to the kingdom of heaven? Or do
but
you
see here
believe it's
that
going to remain on earth?
but
Your
see here's the
spirit.
thing. Here's the thing. The the Bible clearly teaches is that when you are when you are absent from the body, you're present with the Lord. So you have to
Yes.
you're you are not the body. You are, I would say, you're encapsulated in the body, right? Because it says when you're absent from the body, you're present with the Lord. So yes, I'm encased in sinful flesh. The brain
On
is part
earth.
of that.
On
Yes,
earth.
yes, it is part of that. But here's the funny part about it. You will also find out in the scripture that a person that is in the presence of God now has complete knowledge, not full, not they don't know all, because not nobody knows all but God. But you have complete knowledge, meaning you have a complete understanding of of the will of God for you. So, or the will of God for man. So in essence, let's just say when I was on earth, I was completely beyond pissed with you for something that you did to me, right? But in my heavenly form, though I don't excuse your sin for the sin, I excuse the sin because I understand how sin affects you as a human being. Does
Well,
that
in
make sense?
heaven, I think so, but in heaven, you're departed from these memories in that body, so you don't even remember it, right?
No, that's not true. That's not true at all.
No? Okay.
And the reason that
You
I
remember
mean,
your earthly body and your earthly life.
yeah,
Okay.
and reason I can prove that is the parable that Jesus talked about in the rich man and the poor man. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because
It's
he
easier
talked.
for a camel.
I was just say that's a totally different verse, but
Okay.
just stay with me. Um, when he talked about the rich man going to hell, he the rich man actually saw Lazarus. Like he saw him, and he asked him if he could come bring. He matter of fact, he literally asked uh, Abraham if he can have him come bring me a drop of water to cool my tongue. So there's two things that the guy he recognized. He recognized Abraham, even though he didn't even live in the time of Abraham. He recognized Lazarus because that was the man that lived outside his porch that ate off the floor of his table. And then he also talked about, sending word to his family to tell them what he knows now, so they can find out about so they can know now what he knows. And that's why Abraham told him, no, if they don't know now, they don't want to know. It's because they've already been told. Everybody's been told this. So now you have complete knowledge. A person in hell, the funny part about it is a person in hell will be so engulfed in the wrong that they've done, but
Yeah.
also, and by engulfed in it, I mean that they will have, think of a person that all they cared about was me, 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 me.
Okay.
Think of that to the 100,000th power,
Okay.
right? So that narcissism is going to grow beyond explanation because of the simple fact that that's who you chose to be your God over the God of the universe. So now your God
Ugh.
is going to completely get on your nerves for the rest of your
Some
life.
annoying pastors call it self worship. These
Well,
young
it is self
guys.
worship. It is self worship. Why you call him annoying? You know me. You heard me say that before.
Because I mean, it's true, and it's true, and it's encapsulated in that. But like we're talking about, what is the motivation and what are you doing? It's what's happened to our world. People are consumed with themselves, and everything is about how someone opposes them individually, or they become desperate to cling or cleave to them, disrespecting an individual so they can disrespect that individual. It's weird.
Yeah, man. Like, but I mean, I say all of that to say, like if 2024 means anything to me, I've grown good at attempting to put myself to the side, right?
Mm.
Um, and a funny person but I would say a funny person that has taught me a lesson, even even though he's not the type of person that you would assume teaches lessons.
Junior?
But no, actually, Cat Williams, bro. Like,
I don't know what's going on with that, and
well,
I usually
but
do.
hold on, hear me out. Well, the only reason I say it is because he's a comedian, right? So
Yeah,
I mean, his whole lifestyle is like extremely funny, but in the midst of him, just being funny, sometimes he manages to drop gems sometimes on people. And when I sit there
absolutely.
and listen to him have a conversation with Shannon Sharp at the beginning of the year, like the way he was talking, it was almost like exactly where I'm trying to get to, right? I'm getting to the point where I am completely satisfied in what God has given me, regardless of how much I don't have or do have. I'm happy with what I do have more than what I don't have. I don't know. I really don't know how to say it the way he did. He said it really well, but
Yeah.
fact of the matter is I've come to the realization that regardless of what I want in life, that has nothing to do with what I need. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, he was an interesting person to give me that gem, and I respect him all the more for it.
I'm
I even
glad he
hope.
gave you something. I'm glad he gave you something you could really reflect on, though. That's profound because that is what comedians do. They're the philosophers of our day.
Yeah, that's the liars.
I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I've been watching them go back and forth on Twitter. And Cedric the Entertainer had a little clap back. Apparently, Cat Williams said, or someone tried to suggest that Cat Williams said, him and Dave Chappelle jokes are taken from other people, and then people are going and they're finding this junk online, and that's what's blowing my mind because I just assumed comedians had been stealing each other's jokes since people have been telling jokes. I hear stuff that comedians say, and I think that it's my joke too. but I can't say that I have a comedy special for us to have the same idea. Like, you get what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, think of it this way. Think of it this way. Every profession has an industry for that profession, right? So,
Hmm.
so every industry has the white man in charge for that profession. And by that, I mean, and I don't mean to say that, white people are evil or anything like that. I mean that to say that, the old money of America does determine, how this country is run.
Yeah.
So, so with that being said, even
Just the
even something
Republican
as
Party.
stop lying to yourself. Uh, even something as mundane as comedy has some deranged liberal Democrats sitting around trying to get people to have sex with men. Men.
It's what's happened. There's nothing new under the sun, and sin is common and accepted in all of its forms, and that's why we are seeing
Happy
individuals
New
demonized on
Year.
both
How you doing
sides.
today? All right. Have a good day. Sorry about that, but
No, you're good, but you get what I mean. Like, I ain't got no hate on nobody. I just we have made common sin. There's gonna be new sins, but there's gonna be COVID, and I'm not trying to be negative.
you said there's going to be new sin.
Yeah, new sin, new COVID, because there's nothing new under the sun.
So you said new sin though. SIN. What?
SIN.
Can you explain that a little?
What it will be
Unpack that a little.
common. Yeah, like pedophilia is universally rejected, vehemently opposed to by most of us. But
But
in
why
the
would that be
future,
considered new?
yeah, okay, you're right. You're right. And that was kind of the joke in it, is that all the things that we think we're being so sophisticated upon rejecting and getting rid of, we're not. We're really stirring up the pot, and we're bringing the crustiest, oldest, nastiest stuff from the bottom to the top. And I'm not talking about any individual groups. I'm just talking about what happens when we do this, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it makes absolute sense. I mean, I know don't want to you don't want to ruffle no feathers, but that's why you invite me on these shows.
I mean, it's really not about ruffling feathers, because I don't try to be insensitive, but I don't like where we're going, because we stopped talking about facts. We stopped embracing truth because it's been more powerful to control people's feelings. And in being controlled like this, people don't realize. That's all. Like, I respect people all the time. I don't pander, but we're in a weird intersection to where we're forcing the wrong people to pander, and I have an issue with that.
Well, yeah, but see, my main issue. Okay, so with today's date, in reference to what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
My issue is the simple, and I think I'm about to say the same thing that you were alluding to. My issue is we're taking things that since the dawn of time that man has recognized as wrong,
Hmm.
we're calling we are trying we are as a people are trying to make everybody else consider normal. Like these things that we're talking about aren't normal. It's not normal for a man to dress up like a woman and be referred to as a woman, right? Like, even if you go all the way back into before the first century, into the BC times, even if you go back into these times where you see men with their manhood cut off and they're referred to as eunuchs, these men weren't referred to as eunuchs because they were dressing up like women. These men were referred to as eunuchs because they lived, more than likely lived in a palace, served a king, and so that they could not have sex with his concubines or wives, but
George
service.
Washington Carver was a eunuch, and that's a very unique term. I remember being in like grade school talking to kids about this. Doug, you know
George
what a
Washington
eunuch
Carver was a what?
a eunuch. He was
Who's eunuch?
castrated. He was a
But,
eunuch.
but who's eunuch?
He grew up around white women, so they cut his balls off so he wouldn't impregnate them and do something to them. He had a very high
Okay.
pitched voice because he was a eunuch. There are audio recordings of him this period of time. He was cutting edge. He was great, but we're talking about eunuchs and how powerful it is for a man to be controlled biologically. I'm sorry, I just wanted to assert those things. Throw out some facts.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. My main goal, my main point in regards to I mean, just bringing up eunuchs was not to say that being a eunuch was
It
abnormal,
was
because
forced on them. It wasn't their
it it,
choice.
it was
Is what
forced.
we're
There you go.
saying.
That's the word I'm saying. It
Yes,
was forced. It
I'm
wasn't. It
showing you.
wasn't like,
That's it, bro.
yeah. I wasn't trying to. I didn't. Wake up today and say, you know what I want to be in my life. I want to be a eunuch. I mean, no, that's not what more than likely they were stolen from their homes, and they were.
Paternalistically, look at our conclusion points. We want to protect them, right? We want to be their fathers and protect them, and that's wrong today because they have to be castrated. That's where I'm at with it. So I have my platform not to demean anyone, do what you do. But as far as what our culture is providing, suggesting, prescribing to young people, young men specifically, and then the outcomes that young men have, the opportunities that young men observe, it's very different. And geographically, these things are multiplied.
Right.
I think we've
But see,
got
I
a
mean, the
good
funny thing, if
swath.
you ever, I don't know if you paid attention to like things that's going on and in the quote unquote motherland, but
Mm.
these things don't occur over there. But you have American journalists that like they
They
want
don't
to.
occur in Serbia either for the same cleansing. We don't have those people here. I think there's a lot of Asian because it is a uniquely masculine thing. Because how can you think about that? As much oh man, this is getting deep. As much as men use sex to control the world in war situations, you could look at prison culture, and then obviously you have the realm of sexuality, both forced and pleasurable. With those four areas of men swinging the D, I think that it's horrible because we are opening up lanes of inclusion that at best include the lane of pleasure only. But look at all of those other opportunities uh, um, for perversion and derangement and pain, abuse, all the things that progressive society should avoid. Because my attack is never on sexuality and it's never on individuals. It's on opportunities it creates for those that take advantage. That's all.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I
Mm-hmm.
um I really, if I can do anything to caution folk, what I mean, like this idea of calling a sexual deviancy a lifestyle
That's
is
what we're doing.
is ridiculous, quite honestly. Even because me personally, I have just as much problems. I have just as much problem with people that consistently have sex outside of wedlock as I do with somebody that dabbles in sexual deviancy. But my whole thing is, I'm not here to shake the finger at anybody. But I have to be honest with the listeners and say that you cannot mock God and think it's okay, right? Like
Mm.
you, like eventually you will bend your knee to Christ. Like you will bend your knee to Him, and it's going. My whole thing is if I could say anything to anybody, I would say you can serve Him now as your Savior, or you can serve Him later as your judge. You know what I mean? I tell people that all the time. but that's the only options that he's giving people. And I mean, it's not a hard sell for me. You know what I'm saying? It's not a hard sell for me.
And I think the peace that we all deserve in life is really what motivates us on the daily. I think everybody's fighting to get to that point of peace. And I hope anybody that's listening to this broadcast can find some peace in their life. Definitely check out themodernblackman.com. We've got lots of articles, information, a somewhat vibrant community, and we're getting the conversation pushing and moving forward on X, new podcast episodes on Spotify. God is so good. Life is good. And the homie Doug, I appreciate you taking the time. We're going to do this again, man. I definitely got to get with you before next week. You know, we used to do episodes Thursday evenings. And then I think our schedules just got a little disjointed. So we're going to get back right. Um, get with me soon, man. You got any shout outs or anything you want to drop?
No, man. I do appreciate you having me on as usual, man. I hope that I hope that the things that we've talked about today, they don't fall on deaf ears. That people put their pride to the side and understand that things that we talk about, even if you disagree, that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter or that it's not true. These things, all of these things do matter. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, man. I look forward to the next time.
We're gonna be back on this soon. I appreciate you, and until the next episode, peace.
All right.